Hello, my name's Artemis, and today I feel like talking about something a bit more serious, something that I feel we all struggle with and that we could kind of do with putting an end to, and that's putting an end to hopelessness. Now, obviously, I'm very experienced with a lot of good things in this life, a lot of bad things as well, so I'm obviously the best person to start talking to you about this, but yeah, we will be throwing over to the fleshy bastard at some point, because apparently he has some input as well that is supposedly relevant, but yeah, we'll find that out when we get there. So in our modern day little life, it seems like everything's constantly going to shit. There's world politics that keeps fucking things up. There's things like Article 13 and net neutrality and shit like that, which means that the internet, the thing that we use to connect to each other and, express happiness and an outlet for the depressing shit from the world, somewhere we can get away from it all, well, that's now under threat. And it's very easy to think like, God, it's never gonna get any better. This is just getting worse and fucking worse. What's the fucking point in any of it? And yeah, for the most part, you'd be right. I mean, world politics is fucking shit. The state of the world is fucking shit. State of the environment is fucking shit. Spoiler alert, it's all fucking shit. So it's very easy to sit there and think like, oh, what's the point in putting any effort into anything at all when we don't really have that much of a future? What's the point in actually struggling to get nothing? What's the point in fighting against the rising tide? And things like anxiety and depression are actually really fucking good at making this all feel so much worse. You might be looking at a small little black speck that's, oh god, that's not looking too good. That might fuck me up. And anxiety walks in, just goes, oh shit, son, you should be fucking worried about that. Holy fuck, have you seen that over there? That's gonna fuck you up. Depression comes in, like, oh yeah, you probably deserve it as well. Like, you're an actual piece of shit human being. Like, fucking hell, no wonder that shit's coming for you. No one likes you anyway, so no wonder you're gonna get fucked by life. Before you know it, a whole bunch of things that are completely out of your control and yet still have an influence on your life are toppling up into your head, and you're thinking, oh god, how do I face all of this? How do I deal with all of this? When really you can't. There's a lot of shit that is just flat out of your control. And if you can't control the situation, then the only thing you can control is your reaction to it. Now, things like framing and mindset and controlling your reaction and your emotions, those are the tools you're going to need to get through this, absolute slog of hopelessness that is existence. But none of those are really easy things to learn. Controlling your emotions and your reactions, that's fucking difficult. Reactions are emotional. How the fuck you control emotions? Well, we all learn that slowly, bit by bit. You get a bit better at it, sometimes you get a bit worse, but that is a very vital thing. Being able to step back away from a situation and assess it for what it really is. Okay, yeah, your mind might be building it up to be something that perhaps it isn't, or it hasn't got that far yet. You need to be able to stand back and think, okay, facts of the matter. This is the problem. What can I do to deal with it? Can I do this? No. Can I do this? No. Can I do this? Yes. Is that going to help it? Probably. Hey, holy shit, look, we've just developed and worked through this fucking issue without being a puddle on the floor. Now, I'm not here to throw judgment at people who can't do that or perhaps don't do that, because it's a very fucking hard process to learn and it takes time. Like, just because oh, I need to control my emotions so that I can get through this issue, doesn't mean you're going to be able to fucking do it right off the bat, alright? It's a process. It's not an overnight thing, so never beat the shit out of yourself for thinking like, oh, I knew how to go about this, but I just couldn't do it. Yep, well, that's the same as the rest of us. It's okay. Framing is another very important thing, and it's actually a little bit hard to put in a positive light, because it obviously just sounds like lying to yourself about the way the world is and just choosing ignorance, but I like to see it more as being selective. The internet's very good at showing the very worst parts of humanity, and that's just the way that human nature works, There's that old saying, like, if you have a good experience in a shop, you'll tell one person. But if you have a bad experience, you'll tell 10. I think that works with everything in life, and it works on the internet as well. Positivity is constantly choked down by things like the news and social media, because it's not share-worthy. Like, let's be honest, human nature is you don't want other people to be doing better than you. You want them to be doing well, but not better than you. So you see someone like, hey, I finally got into college. There's going to be a bunch of people sat there going, I didn't fucking go to college. Fuck that guy. How dare he get what I didn't get? Unfortunately, that's just the way shit works. So that shit, all the positivity, all that nice little celebrating everybody else's success and not pulling them down to your level, that kind of gets lost in the translation a little bit, because everybody likes to spit bile, and yep, guilty. I like doing that. That is a nice guilty pleasure. Sometimes you're in a mood, you just want to sit there and go, fuck all of this bullshit. That's some cathartic shit right there. But I can admit that it is not healthy for me, for anyone else, and, you know, sometimes it's nice to be able to give out those harsh truths and give a very realistic viewpoint to the situation, but you can't live your life in one extreme or the other. You need to have some sort of balance, and you need to be able to frame what is relevant to you and what is not. Sometimes there will come up things that you care about that just honestly don't really have a place in your life, and that sucks to have to think like, oh, this doesn't actually affect me, but you shouldn't have to see that as a bad thing. You shouldn't feel guilty for being free of certain struggles. Because, hey, everybody's got their own struggles. Just because you're free of these doesn't mean that you have less to deal with than other people. Focus on what you can and what actually directly matters to your life, okay? If you see, you know, shit going off way in the distance, you don't need to go and run away and try and put out that fire. Well, there's a fire right fucking here that's starting to burn you, okay? And of course, yes, I mentioned mindset. That also comes down to it quite a bit, and that is also really fucking hard to dictate, seeing as there's so many little things that can influence mindset. The amount of sleep you've had, the amount of social interaction with certain people, what you've had to eat. Nutrition actually counts a fucking lot for your mental fatigue when it comes to dealing with life. But being able to master and control your mindset is an incredibly important skill, and Christ, when you can start to get there, when you're taking those steps, you realise just how fucking vital it is. Being able to walk into a room where everyone's in a bad mood and think, well, I'm not going to let this drag me down. It's a fucking beautiful little thing. Being able to see things that are stressing other people out and think, okay, well, I can deal about that. I can just do it. It doesn't make you better than them. It's not a matter of competition, but it means that you have made the elected choice to regulate what's going on in your head and how you're processing things and deal with it in a different way. And that's something to be fucking proud of. Well done, you. Gold star. And while these tools are very vital, very useful, and can help you a great deal, I think one of the most important, one of the most valuable, in fact, the most vital thing you can do to end hopelessness in your life is remember past experiences. Learn from what you've been through. Everything you go through is valuable. Every piece of shit you have to fucking deal with helps you become stronger and ready for the next one. This is something I think everybody needs to grasp. This is something I think is important for anybody to be able to survive in this fucking world, is to learn your lessons, to figure out exactly what you were supposed to learn about a situation, and to be able to look back on it and think, I was there, but I got through it. I dealt with that, but I got through it. That is how you fight this shit. And I think that is also a very nice point to segue over to Aaron, because he has a little story about this kind of stuff. Oi! Yep, you can do your shit now. I'm taking a break.
You ever plan something and think that even if it went exactly how you've planned it, 100%, it would still be incredibly anxiety-inducing and difficult to pull off? You ever done that and then have everything go a little bit tits up halfway through and prove that it can actually get so much worse? Funnily enough, that's how we made it to MFF. See, it didn't start off all that horrible. The car ride was fine. We got to Heathrow on time and perfect. We got to the gate on time and perfect. We got on the plane on time and perfect. We were away. But there was a moment about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours into this 8-hour flight where we learnt the news that there was a big fuck-off snowstorm heading to Chicago. That's a bit of a problem, seeing that's where we were going and also trying to leave from. So we're stuck over the middle of the Atlantic on our way to a place we're not even sure we're going to be able to land. Also trying to figure out, are we going to make it to Tennessee? Spoiler alert, no, not that night, we were not. Now, it was sat on the airplane that the anxiety really started to take hold. I was ready and prepared for everything to go to plan, and it was not going that way. But thankfully, my father was keeping in touch, emailing back and forth with updates, and eventually he found us a hotel. I made a reservation, everything was going to be fine. Land, get into the hotel, stay overnight, we book our flights, fly out the next morning. Fucking A. Perfect. Then we made it to the hotel, and it turns out the booking that I'd made hadn't worked. Their website was down when I made it. So we had to pay the full room price, which was £450. £350 more than I was expecting to pay. That was another major point of anxiety, but we needed a room, we needed to sleep, and it was what we had to do. So next morning, I was obviously pretty cagey about the way the day was going to go, but I had my plan. We were going to get on this plane, we were going to fly out to Tennessee. Yeah, we'd have to recheck our luggage and do security, but it's fine. We're going to go to Tennessee and we're going to have a good time. And this is all just going to be a memory. So we go, we check in our luggage, we go through security, We decided to have a little bit of breakfast. We got plenty of time. I'm thinking it's still very dark and snowy. And then we get the email telling us that replacement flight had been cancelled. This is the point where I started to unravel a little bit because I'm trying to keep on top of everything and plan everything, and it's just not working. We get to the desk, the lady's very nice, she rebooks us onto another flight, but it's not the best flight in the world because it's going to Philadelphia and then going to Tennessee, which I don't know if you've ever done geography or if you Americans know your country, that means going the wrong fucking way before going where you're actually going. So we go. I calm the fuck down, I breathe, I take deep breaths, we go, we sit by the gate and we wait for a long time. Unfortunately, the co-pilot for our flight was on a flight coming in to Chicago, and because all the runways were shut, he couldn't make it. Our flight was delayed again. Now, the real kick in the teeth here was that we only had about 2 hours to make it from getting off the plane to getting back on the plane when we got to Philadelphia, and every minute we spent sat waiting was a minute we lost on the other side. So when the flight was about an hour and a half delayed and we finally get the staff member turn up, we all start thinking, right, fuck, I can just about make this. We can just about make this connection. We finally take off, we're in the air, and I'm not doing too great at this point. I am proper panicking, like, what the fuck are we going to do? What the fuck are we going to do? What the fuck are we going to do? Because, the other times, our flights are rebooked for us, whereas this time we've just missed a connection. Do I have to pay an extra fee? I haven't got a fucking clue. What made this even more difficult was that the flight had filled up. There was no more space for people or luggage, more importantly, so my hand luggage had to be checked at the gate. Now, that usually means that when you get off the plane, it's there waiting for you. But when we got off the plane in Philadelphia, it wasn't. We have 15 minutes to make it from one place to another to catch the flight. We later calculated that that was a mile. I made a decision that we go to baggage claim because I need to get my bag back and figure out what the fuck's going on with it, because that's what we had been told is where it would end up. Baggage claim is where I had my first full-blown panic attack of the entire trip, where I was literally... I basically just crumpled to the floor, kneeling, not knowing what to do with myself. Thankfully, the rational part of my brain took over, and it forced me to do something productive, which at that stage was go to the office, figure out where your bags are. Very friendly lady in there told me they'd been checked all the way to Tennessee, so I didn't need to worry about them anymore. They were going to make it to Tennessee, even if we weren't. Then came the second panic attack, when there's just one more flight going to Tennessee that night. If not, we're stuck in Philadelphia, and I have no fucking idea what we're going to do, because I've just spent all of my money on staying in Chicago. We're fucked if we're staying in Philadelphia. There's a moment I think back to quite a bit. It's not a nice moment at all, and I can still feel it when I think about it now. Stood in a queue line in the lobby area of Philadelphia Airport, and I can't breathe, I can't think straight, and there's just a voice repeating in my head, which is, I don't know what to do. And it didn't stop. And it didn't stop until I got to the desk. And one thing I found with my anxiety and depression is that I can really push that shit down when it comes to having to do something. So I might have been falling apart, but as soon as the lady said, "Can I help you?" I stepped the fuck up. Thank the Lord. She could have been a little bit nicer and eased the transition, because she didn't say a fucking word. I told her the situation. She just gave me a piece of paper. Thank the fucking Lord. It was a ticket to Tennessee. Gave the same to Sparrow, and we made our way through. It was after that that things started to simmer down a little bit. I had some food, we relaxed because we were going there, and eventually we found our way onto one of the smallest fucking planes in existence, I swear to God. I've been on bigger buses, and I'd started to chill out a bit, and I was taking a few more photos because we were in America. I wanted to chronicle the sights that we were seeing, and it was sat on the plane that I took this photo, which doesn't really look like much, does it? This is my view from where we were on the plane, and I was sat at the very back of it. What I was trying to get was that you could actually see from the back seat, through the door, through the fucking cockpit's window, which was insane to me. And the plane was nice, it was filled with a family. If the plane could hold 30 people, then 15 of them were this family. And they were lovely, they were charming. I moved my seat around so that they could, sit together a bit easier. And it was sat on that plane that I finally managed to calm down, and I finally managed to get over the stress of the journey. It was sat there watching this family interact, playing these card games to pass the time. I was sort of watching this dogs series on Netflix, and it was just watching the world go past underneath, all lit up, watching, Knoxville arrive into view, and just that feeling of I'd gotten through it. I was sat in my seat thinking that just an hour and a half ago, I was having a full-blown fucking panic attack, the worst of my life. But I'd gotten through it, and now I was on the other side of it. And everything I told myself, which was, this is just a moment in time, this will be a memory, for better or for worse, it's going to end, you will get through it. That had happened. I was through it. I was on the other side. And that's a very surreal feeling. The really hard part about it to accept was that I'd gone from hopeless to hopeful, and that just from having that possibility of it will get better, you will get through it, is what got me through it. And I got to the other side and I was right. We had a fucking amazing trip after that. And there were little bits of stress and whatnot, like there always are, but I can still look back at this photo and think of the time where everything looked so fucking broken and unfixable and just fucked, and yet it wasn't. Something I think back to quite a bit anytime I'm faced with something not so nice or something difficult to deal with, because once you've done it once, you know that you can do it again. And that's basically my message here. It can seem all nasty and horrible, but it's always just a memory at the end of the day. You get through it. That might not ever seem like you're going to, but you do. I got to the other side of it, and I can look back at this photo now, and I can remember exactly how I felt before it was taken and after it was taken. You never really think, like, this is all going to be fixable, you know, I'm going to be able to sit back, and, you know, this is just going to be a happy memory I can fucking talk to a camera about. You don't think that at the time, but it's what it becomes. It's just another thing that you've been able to overcome. It's something really difficult, you never thought you could, you overcame, and you were better off for it. So, yeah, there's my story. You can go back and do the rest of your shit now.
Hopefully you see my point. I think he did a very good job illustrating his little story there, and I think it's quite poignant, and you know, it's all true, none of that's made up, so yes, well done, Aaron, well done for having something relevant to add into a video. If I had a gold star, I'd give you one, but fuck it, they're all mine. And lastly, as much as I think it is vital you can learn from your own experiences, I think it's very important you learn how to learn from other people's. I know that was a weird sentence for me to throw out of my mouth. There is a wealth of life experience happening all around you, and watching what other people go through and how they process it can actually help teach you how to process your own shit. This is the point where I want to touch on the story of Dog Bomb. Now, I don't want to make a big blown out proportion thing. I don't want to make a whole video about his life because honestly, I didn't know the guy. I didn't have a lot to do with him. I saw his story on Twitter, and like a lot of you guys, it touched me. This is someone that we're all aware of, I imagine. Someone who was facing a very grim end to their life and refused to let that change how they approach their life. They flat out refused to be the person who was dying. They lived their fucking life until they couldn't no more. And that, honestly, is one of the most inspirational things you could ever look at. If he could face something so depressing, something so finite and ending, and yet still not let it get him down, that's something we can all learn from. That is something we all need to deal with a little bit more. He could have focused on the negative. He could have obsessed over the inevitable, but instead, he took it for what it was. He accepted it, and he said, okay, that's the hand I've been dealt. I'm going to play it for the best I can. I will get out of life every single thing that I can, exactly how I can, for as long as I can. Honestly, I don't think there's much more I can say after that. If you want to know more, obviously go and research. And obviously, you need to donate because this guy left a legacy behind, and we all owe it to him, his bravery and his story to fulfill that legacy. Honestly, go and see that. I think that is what will truly help people end this hopelessness, because as nasty as things get, as horrible as they get, you can get through it. Other people can get through it, and it's by learning about their story and how they process things that you can learn how to do what they did. I honestly think that's all I have to say on the matter. Stay safe, be happy, and reach out for the help if you need it, folks. I know a lot of people like to suffer in silence, and that's just not the way that you can heal and be better. Take care of yourself, everybody, okay? I love you all. Oh, God. Did I really have to say that last bit? I feel fucking filthy now.